Okay, so I don't remember what we discussed last week. I think we discussed making the Ma'ariv early, not davening early, right? I think we definitely discussed it,
right?
I just wanted to clarify because people have been making me mashug a little bit today because people that are making the indoor minyanim of 10, so they don't want extended hanging out together. So if you make a minyan for mincha right before shkia, now everybody's sitting around for an hour, so then they don't want that. So they want to know how early they could daven, right? So the ikar adin, it's not a din. The ikar minig is really that kiddush should be after tzeis, not really ma'ariv. So if somebody, if the olam's getting very tired, I mean, if you wait 42 minutes after shkia, it means ma'ariv is not starting till almost 9 o'clock, right? That's first ma'ariv. Until you start ma'ariv, until you start the suda, it's very late. So the ikar thing is that it should be, the ikar is that kiddush should be after tzeis, which is already
$1,000.
which is not so difficult, yeah?
Can you please explain why the kiddush has to be after tzeis?
Because we want it to be, before you make the kiddush of the day, we want to make sure that you have a full 50 days of sfira.
Yeah, but if we hold according to Gro and Gaonim,
correct?
Why do we wait until tzeis?
Because we first of all, many hold that the Gro and the Gaonim, the 15 minutes that the Gro says is tzeis does not apply in America. So we try and rely. We don't want to just do the 15-minute rule.
So then we're supposed to go according to what the actual 3 stars are, which is like 48 minutes, 47 minutes now.
So you're going to get into the machlokes. How many minutes is considered 3 stars? Is it 35?
Yeah, but I'm saying it's not 42. It changes from time to time, from season.
Yes, it does. Yes. Okay. So whatever. I'm just saying, 42 in our circles is usually the accepted earliest time. There are those that do 35. But 42 is usually the earliest accepted time.
So a person who starts Kiddush at 42 is Lachatchila, but he cannot start Kiddush until he down Shema and Ma'ariv.
Theoretically, you can make Kiddush before, but it's not suggested. It's not suggested.
Before is what? Before what? Like 50?
Before
like
davening Ma'ariv, you can make
Shkia.
No, normally you can make, no, you have to make Kiddush after Tzeis, but if theoretically you want to daven Ma'ariv later, so do Kiddush at Tzeis, and then daven Ma'ariv at your convenience later on. Theoretically, you can do that.
I see. But that you would need some kind of alarm.
Yes, or a reminder.
I mean, there is no reminders because everybody is involved in Suda.
Correct. No, you're right. Okay. The next issue so that's the davening issue. This does not apply. Did we discuss also making early Shabbos on the second day? We discussed that also.
Do it. Yeah.
Okay, we discussed that. Okay, good. Now the kashrus things.
Just one question from previous year.
Yeah.
We said you like in the morning, what ideally person basically washes on 2 breads. First bread uses for milchak, and then like rinses the mouth and then eats fleishik.
Right.
No benching in between.
You don't. Well, you washed and ate. You're talking about if you washed or you just ate cheesecake?
No, you washed on 2 breads. You like according to Ramah.
No, you did like what you're supposed to do. Yes. No, no, you don't have to bench in between. No, it's a big machlokes, but you could be makel. You don't have to bench in between.
So how do Hasidim wash? How do Hasidim bench and wash again 30 minutes later? Isn't it extra broken?
Rabbi Stein's not a chassid.
I don't know what the Chassidim. I don't know what the Chassidah Shahan Hog is. I really don't know what the Chassidah Shahan Hog is. I don't even know what they do.
I thought Rabbi Stein is everything.
Now you're talking. Like, yeah, I'm not a millionaire. I can tell you that.
Well, then,
I know for sure.
Then you wouldn't be able to pass him.
Very good.
Then he would paskin better.
Maybe.
We need you.
You can't bribe me. I wouldn't be able to be bribed, right?
Oh, that's all right.
Anyway, Fine. So what's
No,
with
by
the
the Hasidim, they bench, they clear the table, they have a hafsaka, and then they start over again the next suit.
is that what they do?
Yeah.
So now you have to answer the question.
No. Is that what you were saying?
No, the question, they basically they do 30 minutes. They basically
Okay,
bench,
so but yeah, right.
30,
So
wait 30
that's
minutes, and then wash again. I think
Not
that
necessarily wait 30 minutes. If
No,
they
they
don't
they should.
come
No,
out
he's
now,
right.
then
No, they should. No, he's right. They should. They should.
do. I've been in Hasidic houses. They wait.
Yeah,
30
they
minutes.
should wait 30 minutes, and it's preferable to leave the house too to make a hefsek. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's that hefs. There is
You have
that
to try
whole
and make
thing
a
of
hefsek.
leaving the
You have to
house. And,
Yeah. Now another thing that people are asking, the olam that's making a milchik suda, right? So they want to know if they can use the hot plate to warm up dairy and to warm up meat, right? I mean, they don't want to keep on 2 hot plates. It's going to be relatively hot, I think, on Shavuos. I mean, hotter than it's been. So, and you keep 2 hot plates. First of all, many people don't have a dairy hot plate, right? So they want to take the same hot plate and use it for fleishiks and for milchiks, right? So can you?
The question
do
is.
that?
The question is putting milchak on a fleishik hot plate, or
Yes,
the question
can you
is
put
putting it
milchiks
together next to each other.
Yeah, either one, both. We're going to discuss both. Can you put fleishiks on a milchik hot plate? But that's not the common thing because usually the hot plate is fleishiks. Can you put milchiks on the fleishiks hot plate? Right? Now, I think this is something that we have discussed, and it goes with the same thing, which is the same rule that ein bli yotze mikli lekli b'lo roitev, right? I think we've discussed it previous years, but just chazir to make sure we understand the concept, which is basically that you have two metals, 2 pots. If you have a metal and a metal, nothing can penetrate, no taste can penetrate from one to the other unless there's liquid in between the 2. So basically, if you would let's say you want to take a 9x13 pan of milchiks, right, and put it on top of a fleishik pan hot plate, the only way the taste would ever penetrate from the hot plate into the pan of 9x13, let's say it's lasagna, right? So you have lasagna, and you wanna warm it up on the fleishik hot plate. So let's say the fleishik hot plate actually is fleishik, which it may not ever be because who says your fleishik spilled over? But if your hot plate looks like the way most people's hot plates do, some stuff has spilled over and it's dark or whatever, right? So if you want to put it down, the pan of lasagna right on top of that, then you would be able to do it because you hope that there's no water in between the hot plate and the 9x13 pan. And therefore, since there's no water in between the 2, the taste of the meat from the hot plate cannot go into the dairy 9x13, right? So therefore, that would be perfectly fine to warm it up. Now, if there's actual spillage of meat or chicken on the hot plate, then that will go through into the 9x13 pan. So what you should really do is clean your hot plate before so there's no residue there. And I've been telling people to do both. Instead of using 1 9x13 pan, use 2. So if you use 2 9x13 pans, so then even if there's actual fleishiks on the hot plate, so it'll penetrate to the first 9x13 pan, but it won't go through to the next one, right? And then you're
Why
for
not
sure
put
okay.
aluminum foil?
Or aluminum foil. You can put aluminum foil too, but I know before Pesach, some people were a little concerned that the aluminum foil on the hot plates could make them go on fire. I don't know. That's what somebody was saying. I know they did a study in Eretz Yisrael.
Double tray, it's very hard to heat up. It will be much longer to heat up.
What do you mean?
Oh, that could be.
What do you mean longer?
What do you mean? It's gonna knock the heat is not
double
gonna
tray.
penetrate
It's
the
more
cover?
space between the food and the hot plate.
Huh? Aluminum. We're talking about aluminum, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Aluminum.
Aluminum or a 9x13, whatever it is, either one. So that's what you could do, right? Yeah. Fine. That's the simplest.
But really, the hot plate was not used for a whole week, so it's really part, no?
it's not parav. You can't use it lechatchila just because it hasn't been
Lechatchila,
used.
no, right.
Right, lechatchila, you can't use it like that if you knew that it's fleishiks, right?
But you said, Rabbi Stein, you said that if you if you wipe off all spills, right, before you turn the thing on, before you use it, then it's not considered milchiks or fleishiks?
It is considered fleishiks. It would still be considered fleishiks, but
Still
since you're cooking it, yes, but you would not be able, that's a good, let me explain it a little better. It's fleishiks. Can you take an egg and cheese and fry it on the hot plate, straight, without a pan, meaning using it as a actual griddle? You cannot do that because it's fleishiks, just like you would never use a fleishik pan to cook your macaroni and cheese, so you're not allowed to, you would not be able to cook something with cheese straight on the griddle, even though it's clean. No different than a fleishik pot. However, you're not
washing it off, cleaning it off does nothing then.
Yeah, it does. The only thing it does do is that if it would be dirty, then that's like putting an actual piece of meat on top of your milchik pan while you're cooking lasagna, which nobody would ever do, right? Because it'll penetrate through the pan, right? Meaning, all I'm saying, the reason why to clean the hot plate is because if there's actual fleishiks on the hot plate, right, then that fleishiks will penetrate through a pot. The only thing that doesn't penetrate is taste that's absorbed in the metal. Any taste that's absorbed in the metal cannot penetrate through another metal unless there's liquid there, right? So therefore, if it's clean, so then all you need is one pan because it will not penetrate through there. But if it's dirty, so then you use two pans. And the truth is, the safest thing to do is just to use two pans in case there happens to be a little bit of fleishiks there. So then it's fine. Okay.
Plus, it makes it stronger. It
makes it stronger. Correct. Right.
Carry around. You know what I mean? Because aluminum is weak. So you put two.
Flimsy.
And that's it.
It's flimsy.
I use two anyway. Okay.
Yeah. Now, once we're on that subject, what's with warming up meat? A lot of people don't want to keep on two ovens. You're making a dairy meal and a fleishik meal. If nobody's making dairy meals here, tell me, and we'll move on to the next. We can move on to the next subject. I don't want to just shoot off hot air, and everybody's like, "Who's making a dairy meal, anyways?" Right? I don't know. I think
not.
A lot of the guys are carnivores. You know what I mean? So I don't know if anybody's eating dairy. So unless somebody tells me that
Dave is having at least one coffee over Yontif.
It's not meal.
Every morning coffee.
Every morning coffee. You make Reb Tzvi, you make milchik sudas?
It's up to my Rebbitzin.
The best answer. That is the best answer. Yeah. Anyways, by the way, the fruma, the guys that are fruma, for those that are big Shalom Bayis people, and they want whatever the Rebbitzin says, they do. If you want to be yotza all the shitas, so after the milchik meal, you go eat yourself some fleishiks. And then you're yotza, right? If you really taka such a hardcore halacha, you got to eat ein simcha ela b'basar v'yayin. Good, so eat the milchik suda, and then right afterwards, either before you bench, after you bench, go eat a piece of meat. Now you're yotza, you're basar.
Didn't you say it's a deoraisa to eat meat?
It's questionable if it's deoraisa.
Yes, so it's a machlokes. Does it apply to women?
Does it apply to women? There's a whole question whether the whole simcha of eating bichlal on Yom Tif applies to women or not. There are places that hold that they don't even have to eat a suda, and therefore, if a woman forgets Yalav V'Yaveh Birchas Hamazon, the pasha says she should not repeat benching because it's not pasha that they have a chiyuv to eat a suda on Yom Tif. It's a mitzvah, obviously, but if it's in order to repeat Yalav V'Yaveh, you need to be required. So if you're not required, you may not have to. Okay, so anyway, so let's
hold on a second. She's not obligated to repeat benching because
she's not, like you
Mitzvah
said.
Shabbat drama on Yom Tov?
Yes.
What is the double
it's a whole
safek?
sugya. I don't want to get into it now because it's a whole sugya.
No, I just wanted to clarify why she would, because it's double safek?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So fine. So that's that. So now how do you warm up milchiks in a fleishik oven? So again, with the same rule, you can double cover and then you're fine. Okay, you can double cover the milchiks, and then you're fine. But the truth be told is you really don't need to double cover it. You really may ikar adin only have to single cover it, which I think most things that you're warming up in an oven anyways, as far as I know, are covered, right? So what do? So you just put it into the oven, and then you're fine, unless your oven grates are dirty, in which case you should double cover.
Wait. Hold on. Step back 1 second. I'm sorry.
No
First
problem.
I heard you say double cover. Then I heard you say you don't need a double cover. So which is it?
Exactly. It depends. If it's dirty, then you should double cover. If it's clean, then all you need to do is single cover.
Yeah.
Double cover means one cover and one tray in which you have the food.
Yes. Right now, can you get away with not covering it at all? Here's the big chiddush. Right? Can you get away with warming something up without covering it at all? Something milchiks in a fleshik oven. Now this is a point of controversy, right? But when you think about it, it's really relatively simple, and all the poskim would agree to the following point. Okay, let's say I'd stick something into the oven that's not covered. Okay, a fleshik oven. I used it in the morning for the fleshik meal, and now I'm using it at night for the milchik meal, and I want to put in a quiche, a dairy quiche or something, right? Or a cheesecake. I want to make a cheesecake on Yom Tif, right? Which I think we discussed did we discuss this last week? That really Yom Tif, I don't know if we did.
No.
Yom Tif is real. Yes, you're allowed to cook on Yom Tif, but you really only cook on Yom Tif what's going to taste better if you cook it fresh on Yom Tif, right? If it's a food that's not going to taste any better if you cook it fresh on Yom Tif, then it's preferred for that food to be cooked before Yom Tif. Now, I understand that most of the women are cooking everything way before Yom Tif and freezing it, etc., etc. So that works on that
I'm sorry. You said only if this food is going to taste better? Is that what you said?
Yes. If food tastes better fresh, then you should make it on Yom Tif. You can make it on Yom Tif.
Isn't that true for all food? Of course it tastes better fresh.
No, not necessarily. What do you say to ice cream?
Not picha.
Yeah, but you don't have to cook that. What do you mean?
Ice cream?
You do.
Talking about
Picha you do.
You're putting in the oven to cook.
No, so I don't know whether you cook ice cream. I'm not a cook. I'm a very good eater. I'm not necessarily a good cooker.
No, ice cream, you take it out of the freezer. What are you talking about?
No, I'm talking about if you're making ice cream from scratch. You might have to heat up stuff. Okay, forget that. What about gefilte fish?
Compote.
Jello.
In other words, if you like, it could be that people like it cold or hot is what you're saying. Okay.
Correct. So let's say somebody has gefilte fish that's cold, right? If you have gefilte fish that's cold, so that's not going to taste any, as far as I know, unless you could disagree with me, I don't know. If something tastes better, not better, but if it tastes just as good, if you make it before Yom Tif, then it should be made before Yom Tif. Okay, if you didn't, then it's fine to make it on Yom Tif, but lechatchila, the thing should be made before Yom Tif that you can, unless it tastes better. Okay, like a cake for sure tastes better. Anything fresh tastes better.
That's what I meant.
Right? So anyway, so that's that. But can you take, let's say, a quiche or a dairy casserole or a cheese, what do you call those things? Those cheese blintzes or whatever.
Souffle.
Like souffle, yeah, anything like that. I'm just trying to think of things that you don't cover, that you want to warm it up that you don't cover, right? So you put it into the oven. Can you put that into a fleshik oven or not? Right, so the Hamoinam, the Welt, thinks that you cannot. Right, another common application of this is if you want to bake challah, you baked challah in a fleshik oven. Can you serve that challah by a dairy meal?
Yes.
Not supposed.
Right.
Not supposed to, right?
Well, that's the question. So now, can you not? So many poskim say that you cannot. But it's a gezerah. It's not really halachically an issue. Because basically, let's analyze this. If you take a challah and you put it into an oven, or a quiche or whatever it is, you put it into a fleshik oven, right? How is the taste getting? How's the flesh? So let's say this fleshik taste in the roof of the oven. Let's say this fleshik taste in the roof of the oven from your steaks that you made for the first Suda, right? Now you bake the challah afterwards. How is the taste getting from the ceiling of the oven or the roof of the oven into your challah? How's the taste transferring? Right? Every taste has to transfer, correct? Meaning, for example, if I'm eating milchiks on one end of the meal and you're eating one end of the table and you're eating fleishiks at the other end of the table, is there anything wrong with that? Nothing wrong with that, right? Because how's the taste transferring from your milchik food to my fleishik food? It's not. It's just as you get closer and closer, maybe it's going to get more of a problem until it actually touches, and it has to touch with heat, right? So good. So now you put these challahs into the oven. How is the taste transferring from the roof of the meat oven into the challah?
You just said heat, the heat.
Oh, very good.
No.
So there's definitely heat in there, right? But how is the taste getting from the roof of the oven into the challah? The challah is not touching the roof of the oven. It's not even close to it. It's probably a foot or two below it.
It's a dry oven?
As opposed to what?
As opposed to something that has an open pot with stuff in it.
No, we're talking about an oven with an oven with only challah in it.
The steam.
Yeah, so doesn't it say in the Kitzur you're allowed to do that? I thought I just learned this.
I don't know what the Kitzur says. What does the Kitzur say? You remember?
That you can bake a challah in a fleshik oven, and it doesn't make it flesh.
Right, exactly. So that is the ikra din, is that you can bake a challah in a fleshik oven and it will not make it fleshik. But why?
Because there's no liquid. Because like you said before, there's no liquid to transfer the flavor. It's a dry oven.
There's no way to get the flavor out of the roof of the oven into the challah. If the challah touched the walls, like if you're making a pita, right? Rabban, we discussed it a couple of days ago, right? If you bake the pita in the oven, right? The way they bake pitas, they slap it on the side of the oven. So if you did that, then your challah will be fleishiks because it touched the walls of the oven that are fleishiks. But here, your challah is not touching the wall of the oven, right? The only way to get it is if there would be steam. Meaning, can I bake dairy, let's say pizza in a fleshik oven? I use it for fleshiks in the morning, and then we decide we're having pizza for the night meal. Can I do that? Right? So the question is, the only question is there liquid that transfers from the top that will transfer the taste? Meaning, so let's say I cooked steak. So steak has steam, and that steak steam goes into the top of the oven. Fine, now I made the oven fleshes. Fine, now a half hour later or 2 hours later, I go bake pizza. Now pizza has steam. So what happens is the pizza steam goes up to the roof of the oven, mixes into the roof of the oven, and takes, now it became treif because it's dairy taste and meat taste in the roof of the oven. And then it goes right back down into the pizza because the taste goes up and down through the steam, right? So therefore, it's going to make your pizza treif, although there are many poskim that would be makel in this situation also. We'll get to that in a minute. But lechatchila, you certainly shouldn't do that because the steam will travel back and forth. Challah will not make steam. There's no steam that comes out of challah. Challah is dry. So any food that's dry will not pick up the taste from the roof of the oven. So since it won't pick up the taste from the roof of the oven, so therefore it will stay, your challah will remain parev, assuming that your oven is clean. If you have chunks of meat left over from the steak, right, that's still in the oven, when you're cooking the cheese, then that is going to be a problem if it creates steam, then because you have steam of fleshiks and of milchiks together in the oven, right? But only if it creates steam.
Challah is made from liquid. How is it dry?
Because it's not, first of all, why is challah made from a liquid?
From water, with water.
There's water in it.
Either
but
water
the
or
challah-
juices,
but the
whatever it
challah
is.
the challah dough is not anywhere close to liquid.
The
I
dough
know,
becomes
but
a
it's made
solid.
with water.
It's a
The
what do you
dough
mean?
becomes a solid.
Right. The dough does become a solid. Thank you. The dough is a solid, right?
So then anything, then kugel, whatever it is. So then anything
Yes,
you mix,
so
it
I would
becomes
say-
a solid.
So that's the big question. What exactly is considered liquid? Because almost everything is not. So a soup, a dairy soup, right? I don't know what type of soups are dairy, but let's say you have a dairy soup, then that for sure creates
You make your your French onion soup.
French onion soup, right? Good, yeah,
on
with
top
cheese.
of it, oven.
Yeah,
No,
kilo
but
it's
we're
a
talking
shaydish
about
or
the mixture.
something.
So let's say potato kugel. Would
So
potato kugel be same as challah?
Hey, why don't you go with this one? How about cheesecake?
Cheesecake probably also.
That's the cheesecake's the $1 million question because cheesecake starts off as a liquid, I think, right? Does it?
And then
Or is
becomes
it cream
salad.
cheese? I don't
Tzvi
know how you make it.
Yaakov, my wife says nobody eats the cheesecake fresh because it's too. You don't eat it fresh. It's liquid.
Yaakov, it's too liquid. It has to be baked.
Liquid. It's liquid. It's got, but even though they put cream cheese or they mess around.
Yeah, because
Depends
you whip-
what
you
kind
whip-
of cheese you start with.
You whip it up with eggs and stuff. It's too liquidy.
It's liquidy, right?
Yeah.
But how
Okay.
does it hold? Okay. Yeah.
So it's better not to make it on Yontif. It's better to make it Erev Yontif.
It's definitely better because I think it doesn't taste any better.
Right.
Right?
Baron, rumor has it you've been eating cheesecake already for Shloshim Yom Kedem Achad.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a big question. Is cheesecake considered a liquid or a solid? If it's a solid, then you can bake it in a fleshig oven, no problem. If it's a liquid, you cannot bake it in a fleshig oven. That's what I was saying. A babka, right? Babka, a cheese babka, right?
Yeah.
That for sure you can bake in a fleshig oven because that's covered by the dough.
One second.
Covers the cheese. The dough covers the cheese, right? So therefore, that could be baked in a fleshig oven. Oh, we're getting hands-on right here from Aaron Kaplan.
I interrupt this broadcast for cheese babkas in the oven.
Is it a fleshig oven or a milchig oven?
They burnt it out before.
You didn't have to do that, Yazafruma.
Hello, no, 1 second, because you started the share later. We were,
Okay, what should I do?
No, and they know tomorrow though.
oh, she don't.
Reb Tzvi Yaakov, he has a kahila depending on him now.
What I do wrong?
Oh, yeah.
He has a kahila with a tent depending on it.
That's right. You got
1
to be very
second, 1
frum.
second.
The rabbi has to be frum, and the rabbi of the tent minion has to be frum.
1 second, 1 second.
City.
Since we're on the subject of the tent, I want to show everybody what just got delivered just now. Baron, you'll love this. Look at this piece.
Oh,
What is it?
A sneeze guard.
No, that's to be able to lane.
Oh, you put in between the people for the aliyahs.
Yeah.
Very good. What is that? You steal? What do you do? Steal a street sign from someplace?
I was about to say, it looks like Milky Force sent out a for sale.
Oh,
Very good, Harry.
Hello, this peels off. It's plexiglass. It peels.
Aaron's trying to sell it before they open up the white shul. He has like 3 weeks
Excuse me.
to sell
Excuse
the
me.
whole deal.
Excuse me. The guy just delivered to Rabbi Fine at 3 pieces also.
Oh yeah.
I said it's a sneeze guard.
That's funny. I didn't know why you had to
Okay,
do
what's
that.
up?
Parrots for $300. You can have one at your minion.
Oh, Zevi. Tell him, Zevi.
Look at that, mamish.
Okay,
I thought maybe
Aaron, I
you're
see your
making-
father's in competition with you.
No, Tati's coming here. He's brought me money.
He had a minion outside the house today.
Oh, yeah?
Yup.
Good for him. Okay.
Anyway, so I don't know where the Indian is that you have to see the guy next to you by the aliyah, so it needs to be plexiglass. But okay,
You don't have to see the guy?
why do you have to see the guy?
So he could schnuda.
I hear. Anyways, so those babkas, right, that were in that oven over there. So that is solid. So you really don't have to burn out the oven before you cook those.
I'm not trying to be funny, but you're making a chilik. The babka has the cheese at the top. If you just decorated on top with a few spritzes of cheese, you couldn't do that. Then that
So good. Thank you for reminding me because I'm in ADD mode, so I can't remember from 1 minute to the next, right? So Yes. So now, what is a cheesecake? Is a cheesecake liquid or solid? So basically, what the poskim wonder, and there's no real clarity on this, is it's headed to be a solid, right? Meaning it goes in liquid, but as it bakes, it's becoming a solid, right?
Right.
And cheese is the opposite. Cheese goes in as a solid and is headed towards a liquid. So that's the issue. Do you say that you go with either one and therefore it's a solid, or you go the other way around and say you go with either one, it's a liquid, right? Or do you say both are a problem? Or do you say both are considered liquid? That's the real issue with cheesecake. So I personally, when people ask me about pizza is the most common. Not for Shavuos, but stam. When you have only one oven, you want to warm up pizza, right? So then I personally tell people to burn out their ovens for a half hour just to be safe, because the cheese does get melted and it becomes a liquid, and it could be their zaya. Okay. Now there are poskim that say that nowadays there is absolutely no zaya. Zaya means sweat in any ovens nowadays, right? Our ovens do not have it because our ovens are extremely well insulated, and also they all have vents. So even if a food created some sort of steam, it goes straight out of the oven. It never kicks back down into the food, right? So therefore, if somebody said that they baked a pizza in an oven meaning they baked in the afternoon, they baked steak, and then in the evening they baked a pizza, most poskim, as far as I know, would not answer that pizza, because there's too many sveikas. Only what?
Get dirty.
Only if.
I'm saying owns do get dirty. They get dirty.
Yes, no, you're right. If it's dirty and there's actual pieces of fleischiks in it, that's a whole different story. We're assuming that it's
how do they get dirty?
Who?
How do the owns get dirty? From stuff spreading around from the pot.
Correct.
So meaning there is always hashash for there.
No, you don't have to assume that your oven's dirty. You can eyeball it. You look at it and you see.
No, but right? I'm saying even if you put it in clean on, eventually it can become dirty from the pot that you put in.
That's true. But
so there is always hashash that it may become dirty.
There is.
And there is going to be there.
Yes, but a lot of times when that food sits in the oven for a while, it gets burnt. Especially it's little pieces. It doesn't take much for the oven to burn it. Right? You keep it in the oven, then you burn it up, and then.
It depends what temperature that people bake at.
That's correct.
No?
Correct. That is true. Yeah, that's true. Anyway, so I hope we have some clarity on the putting the milchiks in the fleischiks in the milchiks. Now we got to do Erev Tafshilin this year, right? Okay, so Erev Tafshilin lechatchila, you should make the Erev Tafshilin on Erev Yom Tif, and you should cook the item that you're using. Right, Erev Tafshilin is two things: something baked, something cooked. So something baked, everybody uses a matzah. That clearly, that matzah was not made on Erev Yom Tif, unless you baked your own matzah, right? But the main thing that we're using Erev Tafshilin for, why do we have it baked and cooked? Because you want to start basically the way Erev Tafshilin works is that you're starting the cooking for Shabbos from before Yom Tif, and everything that you're cooking on Yom Tif for Shabbos is looked at like as a continuation from what you started on Erev Yom Tif. Now, the reason why you're able to do that is because the whole Isser of Hachana, of preparing from one day to the other, is a D'Rabbanan. So the Rabbanan allowed, with the Erev Tafshilin, they allowed us to do this shtick, that we start the cooking on Erev Yom Tif, and you're allowed to continue the cooking on the first day Yom Tif for Shabbos. So because of the tzarech of cooking, you can't cook on Shabbos, so therefore they allowed us to do Hachana from the first day Yom Tif for Shabbos, right? That's a very quick summary of how Erev Tafshilin works, right? So, but really, the reason why you have to use a matzah and something cooked is because most people in the old days were baking because they didn't have preservatives, so they needed to, and they didn't have freezers, so you had to bake your challahs fresh. So you had to bake them on Erev Yom Tif, on Yom Tif, first day Yom Tif, for the second day Yom Tif. So you needed a matzah to start for that represents anything that you're going to bake, and you need something cooked to represent, I don't know, represent's not the right word, but to start your cooking, your anything with cooking.
Inaugurate.
Inaugurate. Oh, that's a pretty good word. Yeah, it's inaugurate. Yeah. Yeah.
Milui.
So for an election year, for sure, it's a good word. Yeah. So so that's where you start the cooking. So the baking thing, so we use a matzah, which is made in the factory probably 6 months ago. It's probably made already for, okay, well, I guess not, maybe not.
Yaakov, maybe you want to say you warm up the matzah because it tastes a lot better now.
Oh, okay. So means you should warm it up. I hear.
Warm it up.
I hear. That's a zafrumkeit to do that.
Right.
Okay. That's the frum thing of the night. To warm up your matzah on Yom Tov, on Erev Yom Tov. Okay, right. But the cooked food, you should really cook something on Erev Yom Tov, right? So that's why most people take an egg. Egg is the easiest thing to do. So you cook that egg. Meaning, if you have eggs left over from Shabbos, better not to use it. I'm not saying you can't use it, but better to take a new one like this. You're showing that you're starting the cooking on Erev Yom Tov for Shabbos, right?
So Aaron's right. If you don't heat up the matzah of Yom Tov, you're not going to want to eat that on
Okay.
Shabbos afternoon.
Fair enough. That's another thing. Very good. So the olam, I actually have people that ask me this question, and I don't understand what I don't understand what the question would be, but they read or they hear that you're supposed to eat the Erev Tafshilin by Shalosh Shudas. Right? So it's a nice thing to do because it's a mitzvah. So why can't you eat it for the first meals? I don't know, because you can, right? But
you're supposed to eat it sometime.
You're supposed to, but because it's a nice thing to do, because since a mitzvah was done with Erev Tafshilin, do another mitzvah with it.
But you don't have to eat it.
Correct. I've had people ask me that, I forgot to eat it by Shalosh Shudas. Did my Erev Tafshilin work?
Ooh, Tzvi Yaakov just did it again.
What?
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, so that has nothing to do with eating it. That's always the problem with telling somebody a frumkeit. Sometimes they don't hear it correctly, and they think the frumkeit is part of the Ikar Adin. So they think you have to eat it by Shalosh Shudas, and if you don't, for some reason, then the whole thing didn't work l'mafreya. That has nothing to do with it. Now, what is a question is, let's say you make the Erev Tafshilin. So this year, Thursday morning, you're very responsible. You make it early Thursday morning, Givaldik, right? Friday morning, first day Yom Tov, somebody comes into the kitchen, is hungry, and takes, this nice egg over here. I didn't eat myself an egg. And now they ate the egg, and now they ate the Erev Tafshilin. So then you got a problem because it's not, okay, Lamaisa works anyways, but you shouldn't be offering it to people before it's got to really last till Shabbos. Right, the same thing, and that's that.
On an extension of that thought, what about being Yaitse with the communal Erev Tafshilin because you forgot?
Excellent question. So, really, the Poskim say that if you forgot to do an Erev Tafshilin, you get a one-time. How do you call it?
Dispensation.
A dispensation. You get a one-time dispensation. That you can
get out of jail free card.
One time get out of jail free card, right? But really, you can't use it more than that.
Nobody has a rabbi now, so which rabbis have to inzit in?
It's funny you say that. Somebody asked this. I thought this was a great question. Somebody asked this by Pesach, because part of the lumdus of how Erev Tafshilin works is that you should really make it earlier because I think we discussed it last week. You should really make it earlier because in case guests come. Right? You shouldn't cook right before Shabbos because part of the lumdus is that maybe a guest will come and you'll serve him the food on Yom Tov and it's really for Yom Tov, right? Good, but now that we're all in quarantine, at least some of us are in quarantine, some of us are listening, some of us are not, whatever it is. So now nobody's leaving the house. There are no guests coming. So maybe that whole thing goes out the window.
Well, then Reb Kivega has that by the Achron Shel Pesach with the Knedlich
with
the town or whatever.
Yaakov, I heard some of the Rabbanim said that you could have guest Yom Tov now, one family or something.
They put out a thing. It's some of the doctors are saying that you could if they have antibodies. This I don't know. I'm not up to date on that. I'm not up to date on that whole thing. But if people have antibodies, it's not up to the Rabbanim. It's up to the doctors. It's not up to the Rabbanim. But Anyway, so that's that. So yeah, you should make sure the Erev Tafshilin lasts until Shabbos. It's a nice thing to do to keep it for Shalosh Shudas, but if it's certainly not Ma'akiv. And yeah, you should try and have your preparation for Shabbos done early enough. And one last thing, what did I just slipped my mind? Oh, let's say you're not cooking anything. Let's say you know that everything is going to be cooked and there's going to be no preparation whatsoever other than lighting Shabbos candles, right? A lot of people have that. They don't plan on cooking anything. Everything's cooked already, and they don't plan on cooking anything on Yom Tov for Shabbos. And the only thing they need the Erev Tavshilin for is for just to light candles. In that case, it might be you really maybe shouldn't make a bracha on the Erev Tavshilin, right? If you're only lighting for Shabbos candles or somebody's eating out, that's another one that's not this year's too much. Then really, if you're only having the Erev Tavshilin just for lighting candles, you should not make a bracha on the Erev Tavshilin, or make the bracha without Hashem's name, right?
Really? So that's
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
But what is
I have to check my wife because she's home, so she's been cooking the whole time.
Right. So I wonder if setting the table, where's setting the table come in for that, right? Because normally you don't set the table till at night.
The Suda Thursday night, that's something we cook fresh Thursday night on Yom Tov. But that's the only thing. It's not going to be for
Friday night.
We made up with the certain we're going to eat Thursday night. It's something fresh.
I hear. Okay.
I
So
that's clearly I toggled at the beach.
Right.
Yeah. So no, that's going to be fresh.
What do you mean? What about a cholent? If you're putting up a cholent for Shabbos?
Oh, very good.
Hanami, if you're putting up a cholent for Shabbos, then you need an Erev Tavshilin.
Forgot about that. Thank you.
Reb Aaron, you have a cholent that goes on Friday.
No, because if you're a real yeshiva bacher,
thank you.
If you're a real yeshiva bacher, you put up the cholent already on the first day Yom Tov, the Erev Yom Tov, if you really want it to taste good. Anyways, all right, I got
a milchik cholent.
Milchik cholent. Yeah. You know, my time, just to sign off on this, my time, the people, when they say milchik meal, and no, it's a chashuva thing, I say, okay, you get back to me when you go to a wedding and it's milchiks. Right? When you do that, then we could talk about a milchik meal. And
in Mexico, a wedding that you made for your kid that you had to pay for.
Right, very good, right, very good.
And Rabbi, in Mexico, they did milchik weddings.
They did?
Yeah.
Okay, so then
My
maybe
mother
in Mexico. All right,
yeah.
So in Mexico you do that. Okay, anyways, all right, I'm signing off for a minute.
Rabbi, one question. What about putting a blech on Yom Tov?
You can put a blech on Yom Tov. You can put a blech on Shabbos too, even.
On Friday for Shabbos, that's a problem?
No, it's no problem.
For Erev Tavshilin. For Erev Tavshilin.
What do you mean?
Have a good Yom Tov, everybody.
Can I make a bonfire? Can I make bonfire?
I don't know if you can make a bonfire. I'm not sure. Yeah.
No?
For Erev Tavshilin, you don't have food on, and you're putting the blech on. It's an empty blech.
You mean, should you make an Erev Tavshilin with a bracha to do that?
Yeah.
Yes, you should. Yeah, that's enough. Yeah, that would be
why?
enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why not? Why can't make bonfire?
I'm not so sure that's Shavuos l'chol nefesh. I think that you could. I think really you could, but I don't think it's Shavuos l'chol nefesh.
If I was just lighting wood in order to make barbecue on Yom Tov, that would be mutar, right?
Yes, 100%. 100%.
But let's say I wanted to continue learn overnight by fire, and it would add more light.
Yeah, then I don't see why not. Why not?
Why can't you just roast a marshmallow on it?
Yeah.
Light
okay,
the
I'm
fire,
signing
roast
off.
the marshmallow. No, Tzvi Yaakov, would that work?
What?
Light the fire and then roast the marshmallow.
Yeah, that would work. That would work. Okay, I'm signing off and I'm signing.
Take it easy.
All two of everybody have a good Yom Tov.
Yom Tov.
Good Yom Tov.